All righty, good afternoon. Time is now 5:30. I'll call this September 28th meeting of Lawrence County Council to order. Before we go into the invitation, I just want to welcome Ms. Shirley Clark, Lawrence County Council District 3. We're elated to have you and look forward to serving with you on County Council. We'll get you sworn in here in just a minute. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Vice Chairman Carroll for the invocation, and Andy Howard is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me. Dear Lord, we do thank you for the beauty of this day and the blessings that we have to be in Lawrence County. We ask that as we're here tonight and doing the business of Lawrence County, that it be sweet in your sight, and that we do things that are in your will. Lord, we do ask for special prayer tonight for Ms. Shirley Clark and her family in their loss. And Lord, we ask your peace and grace upon their family. Lord, be with us tonight. Give us traveling mercies home. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I'm now going to call on the county attorney to swear in Ms. Clark.
Clark, you step down here with me, please. Do you have anybody who want to come up here with you?
My mother.
Yes. Yes. Turn your face. Right here. Right here. Face there. We want you better. Okay. Come on up here with her. I'm gonna get out of the way so I don't block the whole thing. Okay. If you will, raise your right hand, please. You swear or affirm that you're duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state to exercise the duties of the office to which you have been elected, and that you will, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties thereof, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States, so help you God. Thank you. Congratulations. Hallelujah.
Ms. Clark, if you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome to.
First, giving honor to our God, Savior, who head of my life, Jesus Christ. Thank my mother, to my family for being here, all my friends. I thank my support team, the Clark team that worked so hard to help me get here. I thank all of you. I thank the chairman of this board and the council for welcoming Mr. Hussein. I thank you. Ms. House, I thank you as well for all that you have done to help me to get here. Thank all of you that have came out tonight to see this occasion and attending the council meeting. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'd like to, Ms. Crow has some guests he'd like to introduce tonight. I'm going to call him real quick.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have Dr. Ben Bailey's class on public policy from Presbyterian Colleges. I want to say PC College, but I just couldn't. I couldn't say that. We've got the class on public policy from the Political Science Department at Presbyterian College here to see how public policy is made, and we hope that we invite them to come and participate in it, both as citizens and elected officials, and in every other way, and don't scare them off. Well, welcome, guys.
All right, we'll move right into our agenda for approval of the agenda. We do have a few items to add this evening. One under old business, letter C, EMS, the medical control contract review. And I believe Mr. Older can place a copy of that at your desk before the meeting. And then also we had 2 executive session matters, 1 HR employment matters and 2 EMS contractual matters. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion to approve as amended. Second.
Motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Ms. Yance. Or Trill, excuse me, Mr. Trill. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Nice to say that again. All right, next we'll call for a motion to approve the minutes from the September 14th regular session.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Ms. Anderson. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from September 14th, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, next we have an update from the Lawrence County American Revolution 250th Commission. I'll call on Ms. Cuthbert.
Thank you so much for allowing us to bring more information. We'd like to start out with about a 5-minute video.
Awesome.
This video was produced by the American Battlefield Trust and the South Carolina Battlefield Trust to promote the South Carolina Liberty Trail, which includes Lawrence County sites. The American Battlefield Trust chose to partner with South Carolina because there were so many battles here, more than any other, except New Jersey, because they had to raid for food for Washington's army. But we had the most. We had 400 battles, skirmishes, and murders in South Carolina. Lawrence County has about 17 of those important sites. Now, I'd like to show you, this photo is one of the Lawrence County sites. This is Fort Lindley. Durant Ashmore would like to come up for just a minute and give you an invitation to an event that's going to happen here. Durant's been leading the tours and the talk.
Thank you, everyone. So this is what it's all about, and this is Lawrence County. On July the 15th, 1776, several hundred Cherokees and several hundred loyalists dressed as Cherokees attacked across this field into Fort Lindley, which sat just inside that tree. Lawrence County history. This is the first or the only offensive action of the Cherokee War of 1776. Now, on October the 9th, that's a week from Saturday, at 10 o'clock, I will be leading a field trip to this site. And you can see the enthusiasm for Revolutionary War sites in Lawrence County. I would love to invite every one of you to come to this presentation. There are going to be 100 people there. It will be a wreath laying ceremony with the Daughters of the American Revolution. After I give a discussion of the events that happened there, we will tour the site. Now, this is one of the few sites in America where we actually know where the fort stood. The defensive trenches of this fort are still in existence, and we will walk those trenches. And we will see the events that happened on that eventful night 245 years ago. So I would like to invite everybody here to this event, because this is Lawrence County history, and there are 12 sites just like this in Lawrence County. There are going to be people coming from all over the world to these sites. Now, for those of you who don't know, I do give lectures on the first Tuesday of every month at the Lawrence County Museum. That's coming up next Tuesday, a week from tonight at 7 o'clock. And I will be discussing the Cherokee War of 1776 at that time. I also give the same lecture to the Upcountry History Museum in Greenville the following Wednesday at 12 for their lunchtime series. Half the people who come to see this site Saturday after next will be from Greenville. There will be people from Georgia, from North Carolina. We've had people from Alabama and Tennessee. So there is a real interest in Revolutionary War tourism, and Lawrence County is sitting in a wonderful position to realize the full potential and benefits of that. So I hope to see you all next Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I know you all received a packet, and we had a letter in there explaining our hopes and dreams for this, for Lawrence County. I don't know if you want me to send this letter now, or.
I think did all the council have an opportunity to see that letter in your packet? I think we had an opportunity to read it. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay. Do you have any questions? Ernie Seegers is the chairman of our committee, and we'd be glad to come answer, or if you have questions, we're going to answer.
Before we do that, I know the last meeting we discussed the commission and funding and all sorts of things. I see it looks like in November, you are looking at a presentation of a budget. We thoroughly look forward to seeing that. But in the meantime, if I may, I'd like to make a motion that we recognize, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I believe it was 11 citizens that were put together. But I'd like to make a motion that we recognize those 11 citizens, that committee chaired by Mr. Ernie Seegers, as the official organizational committee for the 250th Revolutionary War events in Lawrence County. Second by Mr. Triple. Do you have it? I don't personally have it. Do you have it by chance?
Ernie Seegers would be the chair. Walter Allen is on it. Carolyn Short, Diane Culbertson, Amanda Bunyan from Chamber, David Tribble from the council, Durant Ashmore, who's a historian in battlefield preservation, Sarah Jane Armstrong, who's a historian, Debbie Vaughn, Dr. Booker Ingram's been a wonderful addition. We only refined this letter. You'll read this letter, it's good. A lot of that was his. Bud Martin. I'm sorry, I don't hear that.
So Mr. Whitmore, that served with you all over at the museum a lot.
Yeah, we all have been doing history all our lives since we've been around. And we work with the museum, number of them around the museum. The museum's been real helpful in allowing the lectures and all that. Of course, that's what they do. They're Lawrence County history.
Thank you very much.
All righty, well, we have a motion on the table and a second. No further discussion. I'll call for the vote to recognize that group as the official organization committee for the 250th Revolutionary War events in Lawrence County. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All the 7-0. All righty. Well, congratulations. Mr. Seegers, did you have anything you wanted to say?
You just did what we wanted to do, so I appreciate that.
I was trying to save some time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ernie Seegers. I'm a retiree, living in Lawrence, and I've been honored been asked to chair this committee, and I certainly appreciate that opportunity and look forward to working with the citizens and historians that are moving forward to Lawrence County. Two things I want to address real quickly. Fiscal issues. I know I've spent a good many years up here myself, so I kind of know what you're going through. But we do think, and I think Mr. Ashmore will refer to this, we do think there's an opportunity for fiscal results from this particular project we're getting into. It's difficult to project income 5 years from now, but we think that that as these sites are developed and things begin to come together, that there will be out-of-county visitors, out-of-state visitors. We've had events at the museum the last couple of months that had out-of-state visitors, out-of-county visitors come in. Of course, they buy gas, they stay in hotels, they buy food, and we certainly look forward to that. The second part of this is that we are very conscious of receiving funds, and we look forward to doing that hopefully, but private funds as well as public funds. And we are committed to adhering to any regulations or that Lawrence County may have. I know you've got purchasing policy that you've adopted over the years. You've got, and we certainly understand that. We do know that, and this is something we check Mr. Cruikshank about, we may be subject to Freedom of Information Act. We certainly understand that. I've dealt with that for years with this body and understand that. We're prepared to publish agendas, minutes, make those documents available to anybody who wants to see them. We'll put them online and you all will be able to take a look at them. We're going to start our planning session next week, next Monday night. We our first meeting, and do want to thank Amanda Money, and Amanda sort of given us a base to operate from Chamber of Commerce. She's really been very helpful in that. We appreciate that. And we do plan to report back to you, I think the 23rd of November, I believe is the date reference in that letter. That should be your second meeting date in November. So that's when we'll be back with a complete budget of scheduled events and be prepared to answer questions at that time. And I'll thank you again. Any questions for me?
Just for note, we normally don't have a second meeting in November, so
Okay.
plan on December.
What about Christmas Eve? Let me say one other thing that's good. I have not thanked this council personally for what great work you're doing in this building. I think Dale Satterfield and others have done a great job here. This building is what Lawrence County is all about. I commend you for what you've done. Years ago, we patched and did some things to try to stabilize it. But you all have had the courage and found the money to do it. I commend you for that. I thank you for that on behalf of our committee, on behalf of Lawrence County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Seegers.
Mr. Seegers, I enjoyed the information that you sent along with the letter regarding the commission, the state commission, and I'm thinking that this gentleman, Mr. Baxley,
Yes, ma'am.
he was appointed by the governor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and can you tell me, has anyone up in this area on the commission?
Go.
Ms. Cullis is on the commission. How many more, what's the makeup?
There were 16 nominated, appointed by the governor and there were a few by the legislature, but I was appointed by the governor. And we've been meeting since 2019 regularly, doing strategic planning. We have committees, we're working on all fronts. And we have a website where it's not completely full yet, but we're working on a lot of things to tell the story of the revolution for everyone who lives here, from the point of view of everyone who lives here, not just the patriots, the soldiers, but everyone.
So I'm just thankful for the added information.
Some of us attended a meeting in Spartanburg 2 weeks ago of this group, and I went, and Vaughn went, Money was there, and others that went, and we're prepared to get in line with what they're doing. And I think Mr. Baxter's been to Lawrence a couple of times. I think I did, and met with he's an attorney from Lugoff, so he's a lay person too. But seems very interesting in what's going on. And one member of the committee is a guy named Vic Carpenter. Some of y'all may remember, he's the county manager in Greenwood years ago. Here at Fulton Council years ago, talking about fees on Lake Greenwood. He's resting on the county, but it seemed like a very accessible and a very good group of folks. And was really forward to working with.
We look forward to working with you as time goes by, and thank you for the added information. And I think the people that you selected look like they are the persons who have the committees, goals and objectives in mind. As long as you got those goals and objectives in mind in front of you, you probably could have a success, and we're looking for a success. And we can automatically put y'all on the hospitality money that's coming out. So we tell you, just ask Mr. Howard and he'll put you on.
We'll pick another date in November, let Mr. Higgs know when we'll be back with you. We do understand completely your need for fiscal accountability and responsibility. We look forward to that. I think it'll help us out a lot too. So we look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, next we'll move into old business. Do any of the council members have any new appointments for the county boards, commissions, or committees this evening? Do want Ms. Clark, just for your information, there's a list of boards and commissions that you have the opportunity to appoint as a city council member. Mr. McDaniel had all of his slots filled. You can let those folks continue, or if you would like to appoint new appointees for those different boards or commissions, you're more than allowed to do that. If you just want to get with Ms. Crookshanks or Ms. Walsh, either one, and if you have somebody in mind, the only restriction used to they have to be in your district, but now the new restriction is you can't have more than 2 per district. So even if they don't live in your district, as long as there's not already 2 from, say, District 4, you can appoint somebody out of District 4. So we try to open it up a little bit to have a bigger pool to pull from, because sometimes it's hard to find people in single districts. So, but if you'll just work with Ms. Walsh and Mr. Crookshanks, and we'll let us know what you'd like to do for your appointees. Yes, ma'am. All right, next we have second reading on ordinance number 909. I will call on Mr. Crookshanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second reading of the ordinance dealing with the Connectional Center. I think you have in your packet the agreement, the multi-part agreement. This is in process in Greenville right now. They are probably going to be about a month behind us as far as approving this. We're trying to get this done, so in anticipation that an industry will be locating very soon in the Connectional Center. This outlines, if you look on page 3 of the master agreement, it'll tell you how the funds will be distributed, most of which, 60% of which, will be directed toward Lawrence County. And this will be a self-perpetuating maintenance thing that the county will not have to maintain the roads and other things within the park. So we certainly highly recommend second reading of this. We'll bring it for public hearing and all, more than likely the second meeting in October. I'm going to check with Greenville and kind of see where they are on their schedule.
You've heard the recommendation by the county attorney. Do I have a motion for approval of ordinance 909 on second reading?
Mr. Chairman, I move for second reading approval of ordinance 909.
I have a motion by Ms. Anderson. Second. Second by Mr. Rankin. Are there any questions or comments? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of ordinance 909 on second reading, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Next, I'll call on Mr. Higgs for the EMS medical control contract review.
Yes, sir. This is a renewal of the contract for medical control over our medical services in the county. Nothing's really changed since the last contract. Compensation, everything remains the same. This is just a renewal of that contract. And as you have the request sheet in front of you, it comes out of EMS Fund 128, the Fire Fund 123 to maintain that medical control.
All right. This is the document that Mr. Aldrich gave you this evening. Does anybody have any questions before I call for a motion?
I would just mention to council, there were some minor changes we did because of the multi-year part of this. We did add a non-appropriation clause, which would be standard in that. And we did change the jurisdiction. They wanted it in Greenwood. We said, we'll take the 8th Circuit. So that which includes Greenwood. So those are the two changes they made. We're fine with.
Yes. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the medical control contract with the amendments as noted by the county attorney? Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Carroll. Second by Mr. Crowell. Is there any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, next I will call on Mr. Hicks again. We'll move into new business for approval of phase 1 of the Old Winn-Dixie renovations.
Yes, sir. This is a request for a design and build contract with Thomas and Hutton for the Winn-Dixie building. This is a phase 1 contract, mainly a stabilization contract, get the flooring and everything like that done to get the building up to standards so we can go into phase 2 for the development of that building. The financial request amount is $1.454 million. That can come from unappropriated funds out of contingency, and we're good to go on that. Any other questions? We have representatives from Thomas and Hutton here, as well as Mr. Satterfield to answer any specific questions about that design build plan.
All right, thank you. Take these questions two phase. We'll ask one. Does anybody have any questions on the actual proposal or the build itself, and then we'll talk about funding. Anybody have any questions on the build out? Will we have a final floor plan before it's actually built? I know we discussed last week about expanding certain offices.
Yes, sir, I believe we will, and it just so happens, I think I've seen Mr. John Hanson come in. Mr. Hanson met with voters registration and Veterans Affairs last Tuesday, so I'll let you report on that progress.
So we've advanced the design quite a bit. We've worked with both groups. We met with them probably half a dozen times. We worked out the plan. We worked out all their needs, and so we've advanced quite a bit. So we're almost through with design development.
Fantastic, thank you. Tell Brad I said thank you for sharpening that pencil. See, you came down with $500,000 from last week. All right, with that, does anybody else have any questions on the design itself? The next question, we'll discuss the funding mechanism. I see on the agenda request sheet we have contingency or ARPA. Mr. Cruikshanks, would you comment on the potential use of ARPA funds for this build out?
Off the record. No, we have looked at this, and of course that ARPA seems to be at times a moving target. But I think with the voter registration and Veterans Affairs, certainly fall within that COVID protective area of expenditures that would be eligible for the ARP money. So I think it would certainly fit voter registration for health and safety reasons and accessibility to being able to vote, and voter registration, the Veterans Affairs. The majority of the people that work with Veterans Affairs or they work with are elderly and may have underlying conditions. So I think it's a perfect fit for what those funds are there for.
Okay. And Mr. Higgs, I know that we haven't had our meeting yet to deliberate on ARPA funds. And I know you're working on putting some stuff together so we can have that meeting. I think my recommendation, if we decide to move forward with this project, would be to expend or allocate those funds from the fund balance and then potentially present that back to us for ARPA reimbursement. I know we discussed the other day, did you get a good number on our fund balance where we're sitting?
We're working on that right now. Mr. Satterfield and I have a meeting scheduled Monday morning to dive into ARPA and what the current needs are, and we can start that process of going down to this. So,
Have our fund balance for our county's fund, what's our? Do you have that number?
I don't have that number on hand, but I can get it to you, everyone.
Okay, I think Cindy told us it was somewhere in the 12
Yeah.
range.
It is, but I want to confirm it first,
Okay.
but it's somewhere around.
It's 10 to 12 million is our current, somewhere in that range. We don't have a precise.
I won't get you a confirmation on that number.
Mr. Chair, I prefer we just use the contingency fund, and if the ARPA funds are available to use, we use them then, but use the contingency fund as the start of it. I would prefer that.
Okay.
That
Would you like me to form a motion?
I move that we make the renovations at the Winn-Dixie building for voters registration and the veteran affairs from our contingency fund, the 1.454 million. That's 900. I hate to even say that number. You see me from that number. But instead requested amount.
We have a motion from Ms. Anderson to allocate 1.454 million out of the fund balance for the phase 1 renovations of Winn-Dixie building. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Carroll. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering about this reimbursement mechanism. I mean, that you can't repay debt that ARPA funds, right? I mean, are we running into a problem by doing that? No, we technically would be repaying the debt at that point. It would be an expenditure out of our funds to take care of it. Now, if we leverage, and Mr. Croshank's can provide some clarification, but if we were to leverage those funds and reimburse or service that debt with those funds, that would not be allowable. It needs to be our own funds expended to tackle that project. So what we're proposing is that we get started with our own money, and then when we determine the availability of the other money, we weave it into it and finish it with the old money, or we do it all on our own money and pay ourselves back with what's exactly what I have. We can do that. I'm going to have a full report to this council again once we develop a systematic approach toward the expenditure of those ARPA funds. And we go and kick that off Monday morning and have a report by the next meeting for you with what staff recommends. But we could go ahead and kick it off with those contingency funds, and then, you know, as long as we're not servicing debt with it, we're reimbursing our coffers. It's my interpretation. That's Mr. Croshank's.
And that falls within the guidelines also, because there are provisions within ARPA to reimburse expenditures that the county has had over this period of time that are COVID related. So it fits well there. If we went out and borrowed the money, I agree with you, Mr. Strobel, then that would not be appropriate. So we'll structure that in the resolution that we present for this motion, so that it'll be clear that it's not a debt repayment, it's a reimbursement.
Right, I agree with or what you were hinting at, Mr. Strobel, but I think we should leave it as an option to pay ourselves back. We may choose not to. We hadn't sat down with the ARPA to see what all of our options are.
Last time you should pay yourself back, Mr. Chairman.
When I ran for county council 3 years ago. All right, we have a motion on the table that has been properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Jonathan, who's with you, Mark? Mark, I thought so. Just didn't want to call you by the wrong name. We appreciate all y'all's hard work and due diligence on this project, and look forward to working with you on it.
I would like to thank John. The voters registration and VA have just repeatedly expressed to me how much of a pleasure it was to work with John, got down into the weeds, looked at every process and their needs, and they would just really enjoy the working relationship.
Well, thank you, guys. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next, I'll call Mr. Satterfield again. First reading of ordinance 909 by title only.
Yes, sir. We wanted to begin the process this evening of presenting to you some revisions to the subdivision ordinance. Now, this ordinance has not yet been through legal, so it has to be vetted by Sandy in his office. But we wanted to give a reading in title only. I've got the chairman of our planning commission here this evening, Mr. Jim Royer, and I'd like to invite him up to give any comments that he would like to give. I do want to give thanks to the planning commission. They've been working on this ordinance now for a number of months. And we've had good community attendance, good community participation and comments, and they've allowed any citizen that wanted to speak and comment to be able to do that as they work through the revisions of this ordinance.
Thank you, Neil. First, I want to thank Mr. Satterfield, a lot of help. Mr. Foley is also a lot of help in this. All the commission members, all their input. Like Mr. Satterfield said, the residents were key to this also. They showed up to pretty much every meeting. We took their input, fashioned it into the ordinance. We really didn't have an ordinance that handled some of these subdivisions, so we didn't really have a way to go one way or the other. So now this gives us the opportunity to disapprove things that are coming to the county. I'm sure it's not everything developers will like, and it's probably we didn't go as large as some of the citizens would like. We feel it's a good compromise. Yeah, we're here to answer any questions as you read through it over the next couple of weeks. We can give you any background on why we went one way or another.
Thank you, Troy. I know y'all worked hard and long on this project, and there was a lot of pieces to that puzzle. And took what we had and improved upon it. And we're grateful for that and your commission on that. Does any council member, before we call for motion, have any direct questions for Ms. Royer?
If I read this right, and if I understand it, you're making it where a lot size can be 7,000 square foot.
On the open plain development, that's correct.
What's that now?
On the type of subdivisions, on the type of subdivisions where it's an open plan, we went ahead and went with 7,000. That's not as low as a lot of the developers wanted. They went down as far as 5,000. We went with 6 foot sides. They wanted to go as low as 5. But in turn, we also, in those types of subdivisions, the requirement is they set a lot of green space aside, up to 20%. They have to set aside. They have to provide different amenities within those types of subdivisions. So it is, yes, it is. The lowest lot size we had before was 8,000. So we only went down 1,000 feet.
Personally, 7,000 square foot is not very, it's not a good sized lot. And I don't think that the county is going to build nice subdivisions. You got a subdivision with 7,000 square foot lots. I don't like it. And I know some people in my district, that's District 1 where subdivision is going up. It's like wildfire now. I'm getting a lot of calls on this.
We understand.
And we've said this time and time again, Lawrence County's got plenty of room. So if I crowd in a 7,000 square foot lot, it's already 8,000 is the minimum now, right?
8,000 was the smallest, but that wasn't in the type of subdivision that's being proposed now. The types of subdivision being proposed now are smaller lots. We discussed this a lot. Personally, I live on 8 acres. I like to mow a lot of grass, but I've lived in subdivisions that are very small. And I know a lot of people that I work with, they hate mowing grass. So, to them, they probably prefer a townhome with no grass. So you got to kind of you know, the way we looked at it is you got some people that want smaller lots and larger houses, and other people want just the opposite. So we try to take a balance and do both.
Well, I understand that, and I think y'all are doing a good job. But, I don't know if this is the time to do it, but I would like to amend this ordinance until maybe we get the, county planner in here. I just can't. 7,000 square foot just don't sit right with me. I mean, I'm not saying anything against the planning commission. I think you're doing a good job. 7,000 square foot, that's a subdivision, right outside of Fountain Inn. It's all those small lots. It looks like a monopoly board. It's just not very appealing.
I understand.
But like I say, I'll say it again, I'm not against the planning commission. I think you're doing a good job. 7,000 square foot. They build houses bigger than that. And I don't want one 7,000 square foot. But I just like to see if it's just on back burner. Later on.
I have a question for Royer. I read that before out of your packet from last commission meeting. Did y'all, so you might have changed something since I read it last. But if I'm not mistaken, the 8,000 square foot lots require a 75-foot width, is that correct?
I believe so. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that's correct.
What would it look like for the open area subdivisions if we kept the 8,000 that's currently in place and shrunk the lot widths? Would that be feasible or not really?
I mean, you could. The problem is an 8,000 square foot lot has to be certain. So now if you squeeze the width, now you just gotta make it long. So. Lot, or if you want one that, you know, is kind of elongated.
Just a question. Thank you. Any other council members have any questions for Mr. Royer? Well, here none. We have a recommendation on the table for motion on first reading by title only. If any council member desires to make that motion, I would accept it.
I'm going to move to approve that on name on this chair.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Trimble.
I'll second it. We have at least 3 readings to straighten that out. Yeah.
We have a second by Ms. Anderson. Is there any discussion now that there's been a motion? I will agree with Ms. Anderson. Tonight's on title only. I definitely hear Mr. Young's concerns, and it'll give us, we'll have about 8 weeks to before third reading can come up. That'll give us time to evaluate and read out, because we haven't been presented with the final yet anyways. So that'll give us time to review it, and it's still got to go through legal. Mr. Crookshanks has to review it first, and then we'll be able to make adjustments, additions, deletions as we go. So I'll be voting in favor of this evening. Is there any other discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote for approval of first reading ordinance 910 in title only. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Vote is 5-1 for Mr. Johnson, opposition, Mr. Rankin, and abstention. All right, well, that concludes. Thank you, Mr. Royer and Mr. Satterfield, for bringing this before council this evening. That will conclude our agenda. Next, we'll move into public comments. As I always do, we do not set a timer, but I do ask you to be respectful of your neighbors and your fellow citizens in your comments. And Mr. Higgs, I think the batteries in those are dying. If you could put your mic up there for the time being. First up, and I hope I pronounced this right, Mr. Sanchez.
My name is David Sanchez. I'm one of the landowners on the northern tip of Ordinance County that's in opposition for a proposed Clear Creek RV park. Nearly 30 years ago, Expressive Resources began subdividing and selling the power land known as the Cotton Plantation to the current landowners. These were large acre tracts that had covenants and restrictions for land use. land use. When we purchased these properties, we agreed to the covenants which specify minimum home sizes, property subdivisions, and land use. Since that time, we have built homes, barns, improved the land, and become a well-established, closely knit community. We look out for one another and protect each other's interests. Proposed RV park was the proposed RV park is part of the recent land sale of the former Coker estate. This land was deeded by the Coker family for over a century. The Coker land is not part of the original covenants. Mr. David Coker supported the beliefs held by the landowners. When he passed last year, the land was deeded to his two daughters. One daughter plans to hold the land, and the other sold 39 acres to Damian Burrows, the gentleman who's wanting the RV park. Mr. Burrows appeared at the last two Lawrence County planning meetings, making this request for the park. He was not prepared to see the show of opposition to his request. We as a community welcome Mr. Burrows as a neighbor and as a homeowner. That actually to build an RV park is not why we built this area. In the first meeting, he explained that he planned to build 6 premium RV spots on the land to remodel the old Coker home for himself and then build a second home for his son. Although he stated this, he's invested in a website that shows extensive camping options outside the original 6 RV spots. The website shows tent camping, bath house, day, week, month rentals, boondocking, which requires a sewage dump station. We believe the approval of the first of the original 6 spots is going to begin this master plan. Fortunately, due to permitting issues, this request was not granted in the last meeting. The latest delay is concerning access to Highway 418. The site is located on a blind curve and would require state DOT to grant an approach permit for commercial driveway to enter state highway. This issue is difficult to resolve, but only create a delay for a short time. We are asking Lawrence County Council to help us permanently stop this process. 15+ families that have developed this tight-knit community have high home values. Our concerns is that the proposed RV park is not a premium destination. The lot has no access to the Erie River, no high-speed internet, no cable. And if someone travels and leaves beyond Mr. Burrows' property, they're trespassing on his land. He stated in the last meeting, planning meeting, that it was our responsibility to keep people off our land. Prior to the proposal, we didn't have to worry about that because we own the land. We didn't have transient guests staying near the land. Mr. Burrows works for Smith Engineering Company. We are concerned that all or some of the proposed RV sites will become a bunkhouse for traveling workers for STC hires for construction in this area. These workers are not paying property taxes or helping develop the community. This is not a community we tried to develop 30 years ago. Second concern is what stopped it, which was the traffic access on to and from the site. This is located on Line Curve Hazard. Section 28-23 of the new South Lawrence County RV ordinance was established to minimize any adverse physical, psychological effects that RV parks would have on property owners in the unincorporated areas of Lawrence County. This RV park is just the opposite. Proposal of this RV park will impact current landowners' property values, future taxes, force us to police our own properties for trespassers, and potentially bring crime elements in the area to require a higher police presence. All these things are the things we tried to prevent by forming this tight-knit community. We've asked Lawrence County Council to help permanently stop this proposed RV park. Without zoning, our hands are tied. We're here to ask for help. I submitted a package and there's pictures. First picture shows a overhead of the Lawrence County GIS land map. I've highlighted Mr. Burrows' property, and everywhere where you see an X is a homeowner that surrounds him. These are all folks that are going to be impacted. Second picture is an overhead of the park, of the proposed park. Even though he doesn't have approval, he's not slowing down. He's putting in septic tank, driveway, and spots. Third, fourth, and fifth well, the next four pictures are the driveway coming in. This is traveling east into the blind curve. You don't even see the drive. When you're in the middle of the blind curve is when the first driveway pops up. Note the van coming down the highway trying to straighten out the curve. You're halfway in my lane. Happens all the time. And lastly is this, once you're coming out of the curve, this is your reaction time if you have a 40-foot trailer coming out. Yeah, last picture is just the opposite, looking towards there, where you can see his driveway, proposed driveway, and the S curve coming up. When you see it overhead, it doesn't look like it's that treacherous. When you're driving it, I've been there 30 years, it's treacherous. We've had tons of accidents in that area. Last but not least is there's an RV park about 3 miles from us that questionable whether they got permitting to do it, but this is what it looks like. I just did a drive-by today, took several shots. This is what we don't want our community to look like. Mr. Burrows has stated that, his RV park will be completely hidden. If we hid it for about another 2 weeks, and then the leaves will be falling, and we'll be able to see it just like you see. We're here to ask for your help. Not sure how to proceed, but we don't want this in our area, and we're going to continue to try to show support and opposition at the county council and the planning meetings and future meetings here. Thanks. Just ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Next, Mr. Littlefield.
Thank you all for your attention. Congratulations, Mark. I'm following on to David's, and if I'm out of line, no. There is some belief that if all the requirements for an RV park are met, then the planning commission and maybe you county council must approve. But I want to point out that both Orange County government organizations that without zoning, I think ordinances granted to you empower you both to vote no to protect the Orange County homeowners, especially in unincorporated areas, against any, quote, adverse effects both physically and psychologically, unquote, unquote, the ordinances for the, quote, general welfare of all. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Ms. Terry, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I'm going to get it wrong.
So it's Terry Savetko, and congratulations. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of your guys' time. These two gentlemen have spoke very clearly and very definitely for what the majority of all of our neighbors feel in our little neighborhood down there. We would really, really appreciate knowledge, support. How do we stop this? Nothing against Mr. Barros, but if you go look on their website, what they are proposing is not what they're proposing on their website. And they are continuing to move forward. And the county council, as well as the planning commission, is the only recourse in Lawrence County that we have currently today to help ensure that my property value doesn't go down. I implore both councils to please take a look at this. And as Mr. Littlefield noted, you guys do have the right and the ability to not approve the park. We would really appreciate you guys to take some serious look at it and help us figure out either a better option or something that we can do to ensure that this doesn't happen. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
You're referencing a website a couple times.
It's called Clearview.
ClearCreekRV.org.
ClearCreekRV.org. And at the last meeting, the dad and the lawyer didn't even know it was up. So.
All righty, next, Mr. Fielder.
Thank you. I came before the council last, I didn't have a council person. So congratulations, Mr. Clark, on Council 3, Ward 3. And also when I last came, county attorney kind of intimated that because it was okay for me to continue burning on my property, it seemed to me that he intimated that they were going to rehire the dozer driver to come back and clear the property. But it came back that they did not approve of it, so they refused to do it. So I'm kind of at a point now where I'll have to pay for the mistake that someone else made. Dale Satterfield was supposed to investigate it, and he did a terrible job of investigation. In the report, it has that on the dates that those fire trucks responded with lights and sirens to a possible fire. 21 units arrived on the scene to a brush fire. And it goes on to talk about how the person in charge, I think his name was Andrews, he wouldn't give me his complete name. He acknowledged that I recorded the conversation, which I did. And the reason I say Mr. Satterfield did a terrible job, he didn't even inquire as to what was on the recording. Because on the report, it has several lies, outright lies, said that I was somewhat like boisterous or didn't adhere to what was being said. So some things are pretty clear as day or night, and some things just as clear as black or white. Because from the area that they came to, it was very well secured. He acknowledged that I had a fire line around it, had a bulldozer there large enough and powerful enough to push over any fire truck that came there. So I was prepared for the burn. And I'm not to try to do the county's job, but directly across from my property, if you go up Anderson Drive, you turn to go through to Subway. The house on that corner, you can hardly see it. Again, I'm not trying to point everybody else's property out. There's several places that are much worse shape. And I would have thought that the county would have been happy to see me trying to clear the property off. But I guess that, based on being in a county that's named after Henry Lawrence, who was the largest slave trade in North America. And as I see events going on 250 years ago, when Black humans were chattel slaves, during the same period of time during that statute out there, 1881 to 1884, Blacks were chattel slaves. I'm just wondering if y'all trying to bring back the good old days. Because there's no excuse whatsoever for them coming to put my fire out when I'm trying to clean my property up. I don't see a reason that was done. And again, Mr. Satterfield never told me what I was burning that was illegal.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Mr. Field, I understand what you're saying, and I hear him speaking. And I know you brought up some of the same thing he brought up before, but what are you asking council to do? Can you just, because you're losing me in the conversation.
Okay, as I said, the county attorney intimated.
Just tell me, what do you want the county to do?
I just simply want them to, since they had my bulldozer operator to leave, I just want the county to pay for him to come back and finish the job. And I had to pay him to do it.
How much is that?
It's $2,400. He was on the job, they sent him away.
And you had to expend that $2,400?
Yes, because I have it's really about an acre and 1.2 acres that was being cleared. I mean, he puts down trees over 30 feet tall. That's the type of machine that he had there. And so, and then it's also a little bit confusing. I don't want to lose anybody, but it's a little bit confusing. I don't know if I should go back and start burning again, because I don't know what they're calling. But after he did the investigation, he said, okay, I've done the investigation, let's go back and start burning. Without telling me that what was wrong, what stopped it in the first place.
And talk to whoever did the work for you. Just let the county see if they can research. Excuse me. Let's let the county see if, research it and see if they can come across and pay you the money, and talk to whoever the person that you hired for the length of time that they hired, to see can we come to some kind of consensus here. So we can move on, because you have brought this before us at least 3 times, and I understand that if you're having a problem, you do want it resolved. And so we're gonna try to help you resolve it if we can. But I just want to know, what were you asking? Because you were losing me. So I got what you were asking, and I'm gonna ask, we see that we can, with the.
Ms. Anderson, if I might, and I don't appreciate mischaracterizations of anything I said, you sent a request for a reimbursement and a claim, which we submitted to our insurance adjuster and carrier. They thoroughly reviewed it and they denied your claim. So I didn't intimate anything else, okay?
To me, it was an intimation. I know what the word means.
I do too.
Okay,
And that.
You have your understanding, I have mine.
No, sir, just let me hear me out. You asked to submit a claim, which you did. I submitted your claim to our insurance carrier. It was thoroughly investigated. Your claim was denied.
Okay.
Hang on just 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this is our 3rd time going over this. It appears to me that it's not quite black and white. I can understand how the people that responded to the fire responded to it. I understand what happened there. It seems to me that the plaintiff has been harmed here, and that we ought to settle this thing. We ought to settle it for $2,400, write him a check, and if he'll promise to take the judgment of God off the county.
I promise.
I'm
just trying to get my
If
property.
you'll accept it, I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Was that what was requested when he sent that to you?
That was a request that he made, was $2,400. There was nothing to back it up.
Yeah, well, and
It was one of the reasons why it was turned down.
can we have a submitted clear check or something that we can see where that was expended from his account? So we can make sure.
He hasn't come back yet.
That's right.
The bulldozer hasn't come back yet.
I was under the impression though that he already expended $2,400. He's asking for reimbursement.
We asked for all of the information for his claim. We submitted exactly what he sent, which there was no supporting documentation. It was investigated by our investigator and it was denied.
If he hasn't expended anything though, then where's the loss?
He expended it the first time and we
So
stopped.
that's what I'm asking. If he expended it the first time, then I want to see proof of that expenditure. So then we're not just writing a check for $2,400. I want to see, as far for transparency's sake, I want to see $2,400 expenditure.
Would you be able to provide us with that, Mr. Phillips?
Certainly I can.
So is it appropriate to make the motion pending his documentation of that? Do you accept that motion, Mr. Chairman?
No, it can be done, but you can't make a motion. Must be in comment section.
Still in discussion. I'll take a
Okay, I
Can we take a motion, Mr. Crookshanks?
I think it would be out of order, honestly, at this point in time, until we receive the proof that would substantiate the $2,400. Then I think at that point in time, I believe our insurance adjuster would have made a different determination had he seen something that's substantiated.
Let's see if we can think of it. Mr. Fielder, would you be able to provide that by, give you a date? And we can put that on in the old business at our next meeting and handle it.
That's acceptable to me, Mr. Chairman. I will draw the motion if that's acceptable.
The cutoff for the next meeting agenda is October 6th at noon, which is Wednesday, the 6th.
Yes, where should it be submitted?
Do you have contact? Do you have your card on you, Thomas? Mr. Higgs will give you a card and we'll make sure that gets on the next agenda and we'll take care of it then if that works for you.
That does.
Come on.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Was that a contract price or was it worth about an hour?
It was a contract price because I had, this tree, and I didn't want to get into it, but the guy who came, he told him on the Doji, it's in the report. He really pointed up to the Doji and said, like, get down here. The guy, he really said, let me go, I don't want to get in trouble. Just get off your property. So that's why he just discontinued working.
Or he probably, he may have done $1,000 worth of work, then he got out of there. But I mean, you're out. Contract price is $2,400, and he did do $2,400 work because he left because of friction.
Yeah, he was forced to leave.
Really, yeah, he was no late, he didn't get to finish his job.
Right, it's in this report.
Thank you, Mr. Sutter.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right. Next, we will move into county council comments. I will start on my right with Ms. Clark.
Good evening again. I just said thank all of you that came out and all congratulations. I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Council, for congratulations, heartfelt welcome. I thank everybody that participated on my behalf. Thank you so very much.
Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to extend my congratulations publicly to Ms. Shirley Clark. It's good to have you here. We look forward to working with you. I also want to thank the 250th American Revolution Assessor Centennial Commission for being here tonight and presenting some more information. I'm very excited. I can't tell you how excited I am about this project, and just to watch it grow over the next 4 or 5 years is going to be amazing. And just the economic development that's going to bring to the county, the fact that we're going to be preserving history and restoring history is so important, that we're making sure that we're still teaching that, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an amazing thing to watch blossom for the next few years. So I just want to thank you guys for your work. I look forward to hearing more about that as we continue through this process. I also want to thank Presbyterian College's political science class for being here tonight. It's great to have you guys. Thank you so much for being here. That is all I have.
Chairman and PC guys, I'm glad you stuck it out. That you may not ever want to come back, but this is what it's like. And so I do want to also thank, as did Luke, the Assessor Centennial Committee. This is going to be special, and that I would love to invite you once again to go see the Fort Lindley footings and the foundations and so forth. I don't think that you can get a full understanding of what's going on here without going to the sites, and feeling like you're standing right on the spot where aspirational freedom came to bloom in a way that it never had in the history of the world. And it's going to be some good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Youngs.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to stifle the growth of our county. It's taking off like a wildfire, but let's ease into it. But we don't, 20 years now, 10 years, 15 years, we'll have a mess. That's what we talked about tonight, ease into it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Anderson.
I'm gonna do everything that everybody else said, and I'd like to thank the committee for the pen that they shared with us.
Yeah, same here. Ms. Clark, welcome. Good to have you. It's good to have 7 people on council again, so we can have discussions and votes that are representative of the entire county as a whole. And the presentations tonight were representative of what we are as Lawrence County. We can learn from things. You don't forget things. You see how you were created, what was good, what was bad, and we grow from that. So I'm excited about the opportunity we have there. We will, it's like a family. We're gonna squabble a little bit every now and then, but we're working together for the future of Lawrence County, and that's what happens.
sir. I'll just say again, thank you or congratulations for joining us, Ms. Clark, and I look forward to all that you bring to this council and future deliberations and sitting on you and all that you have to bring to us. I'm excited about that. And Mr. Trevor, I want to thank you being willing to sit on the 250 committee with all the wonderful folks. We look forward to all that y'all have up your sleeves that you'll be bringing us in this county and the tourism arm of that will be bringing in folks from outside to enjoy this beautiful place we call home. I'd like to thank the BC students. I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is real life. You watch it and read it in your textbooks, but until you sit through it and watch it, you don't fully grasp it. So we're glad y'all joined us and hope you'll consider joining us in the future. I do want to comment on the comments that were made tonight on the RV proposal. I probably have a different view than most. I believe in personal property rights. Most of you, or several of y'all, I think have been here long enough that you saw voting referendum the last time it was on the ballot. I don't know how you voted. I was too young to vote at that moment, but the county resoundingly turned that down. And what you're dealing with now is an effect of that anti-zoning rhetoric that we experienced then. You say your hands are tied, but our hands are tied. There is no zoning in Lawrence County. And me personally, I don't care to go pick parcel by parcel and tell somebody what they can and can't do on their property. That's definitely me 100%. We do have ordinances on the books and there are state laws that DHEC does. Right now, you mentioned they're dealing with DOT on the road right of ways. Those are state laws that they have to follow. And in my personal opinion, if somebody is following the laws that are laid before them and that are out there, then they have the right to do what they desire to do on their property. I deal with this often in my district with chicken houses. Thank the Lord we haven't had to deal with pig farms yet, but everybody deals with it on a daily basis all over this county. I get the property value thing, that's a big deal, and it's aggravating. But with no zoning in this county, and this county has said time and time again, twice that I know of, that they do not want zoning. Zoning would be the way to fix that problem. Your area, in my guess, would have been zoned residential and agricultural residential, and no RV park could be put there. That would be the fix for your issue. But today, as we all know, there is no zoning there. And I do think, I know there was a comment made, I do want to comment on this about keeping people off your property is your job. I believe in that because I've been sitting in the middle of my 90 acres and watched a hunter walk in front of my deer stand. And it's the only person's job to keep them off my property is mine, not my neighbor that rented their property to them. But I do believe in that. Miss Terry, I did check their website and y'all must have flagged them because it's changed.
It's actually Clear Creek RV Park.
I checked it yesterday and it didn't have anything hardly on it. It was pretty bland and generic at that point. So I don't know if they went in and deleted.
It has before. I just looked at it.
Does it? Wasn't the one I found was wrong. Well, can you give it to me again?
Clear Creek RV Park.org.
All right, I'll try that again then, because the one I saw was, it offered daily, weekly, or monthly camping sites, and there was no about us, there wasn't hardly anything in there. But I do sympathize with you, and which is why, we're bringing a county planner on board. I think land use planning is a great thing to look at. I believe the job's out right now, so if you know somebody that'd be a good planner, please tell them to apply. But I mean, in all honesty, zoning is what would fix your problem. And there's a process, and right now I believe that process is in the planning commission. And I do not want to step on Mr. Royer's toes to overstep their boundaries to address that issue. But if it should bubble up from planning commission to this council, we will then at that point address it. But at the moment, council has no, I won't say authority because until we have the authority, but we do have a process in this county and how the steps go. And right now it's between codes and the planning commission. So until they determine their final determination on that project, this council won't address it. Once they're done, if there's further action to be had, we'll consider it at that point. But I did want to comment on that. But thank you all for speaking and expressing your concerns to everyone. With that, we will move into executive session. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session for HR employment matters and the EMS contractual matter?
Mr. Chairman, I move we move into executive session.
A motion by Mr. Rankin. Second by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. We will move into executive session at 7:55. 6:55.
That was one good song.
I feel good.
I brought my shorts.
Feel good. Like,
Shannon, glad to see you back.
glad to be back.
Are we on?
Yes.
All right, time is now 8:15, and I will call this council session back into open session. County Council met in executive session to discuss HR employment matters and EMS contractual matters. There was no action taken in executive session, but at this time, I'll open the floor for any motions that need to be made.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow the city, the county administrator to compensate the employees who were called into duty to take on responsibilities of the county administrator during his absence.
Motion by Mr. Trimble, second by Mr. Rankin. Is there any further discussion on that matter? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Is there any other motions to be made this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we allow our county attorney to modify a contract with Prisma Health for ambulance coverage, changing from 2 to 1 units.
Second.
You've heard the motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Ms. Anderson. Is there any further discussion on that matter? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. There being no further business, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Rankin,
Second.
second by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor? 7-0.